I've spent a lot of time playing games, and I always get all the pieces back in the box for next time, because that's the kind of guy I am. I've been known as a diceman, a super spinner, an action hound, a superior card dealer. But do you know what I've never been called? A winner. Guten Tag and bienvenidos, listeners, and you guessed it, we are talking top 5 things or events that should become board games. And do I have just the duo to share their wishes? Our first contestant is unfortunately back again to rattle our feathers and flip the board if things aren't going his way. It's former Charlie McDennis winner, Mitch Brinkman. How are you?
Hello, hi, welcome. I'm excited to compete today. I don't think I'm going to lose. I'm going to tamp down expectations. So if by the end of this episode, I'm the loser, I've won today because already, I just assume I'm going to lose. So if I win, it'll be gangbusters for me, which is a great name for a game, actually. I'd play that. Maybe where you're a crooked New York cop in the 70s and you go around beating up teens and gangs.
I was about to say, that's just fun. Training Day, the board game, it sounds like. All right.
It's Warriors mixed with Training Day. That's gangbusters.
Got it.
Yep.
And then I'm
coming to you from Uwe Rosenberg. So.
And challenging this redheaded buffoon is someone so cool, one first name just couldn't cut it. Joining us for the first time as longtime listener, first time guest, Maggie Jo Saylor. How are you?
I'm doing so great. I'm so excited to talk board games. I love beating Mitch in board games. Can't wait to beat him on his own home turf.
Oh, man. I can't wait to watch him lose either. And I will do everything in my power, because I hold all the power, to make sure that happens. All right.
Yep.
Now, if you all want to get blown to the moon, head on over to ubercinco.com to listen and watch this and any other fine episode. And did you know you can even submit your suggestions for upcoming shows? Wow, what an interactive relationship we have with our audience. Most of you know how all this works by now, and if you're new, you'll figure it out. But the 2 contestants you just heard from are going to go head to head, and I'll be judging their selections accordingly. If both have the same answer on their list, well, then we're going to have an Uber stare down, where only one may snag all 3 points for the answer, while the other gets a big fat 0. But like I always say, 0 is not a death sentence here, because as host, I get to institute a house rule for today's game. Bonus points to anyone who mentions obscure board games from their childhood that I remember. So we're really relying on my memory here, and it's not looking good for you guys. But don't forget to stay until the end of the show, where I, Brian Ernst, will list off my fast 5 businesses we no longer need when we reach a post-COVID world. Now, we had a pre-show axe throwing contest, and yes, Mitch is more feeble than he looks. So with 6 bullseyes, that means Maggie Jo will go first.
That was predictable. I'm just going to say it.
What's your number
threw me
5
under the bus, and I'm not surprised by that.
Number 5, I just have a genuine belief there is a need for this game. It's a void in the board game world. It's pretty simple, nothing crazy, but there are not enough actual good, crunchy Christmas games. So I want to see a Santa Claus themed board game. Mm-hmm. Around the holidays, I'm super into Christmas. I decorate it up. I love all the festivities. I want to play board games themed around Christmas, but the only good ones that I can find are just putting a Christmas skin on an existing board game. You mentioned Uwe Rosenberg earlier. I have Christmas Patchwork, but that's not really a Christmas game. It's just calling it that. So I want a Santa Claus game, kids running around trying to catch Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. Maybe there's a little adult interaction. Maybe Santa's kissing mommy. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah.
I haven't thought this all the way through, but I think there could be some good hidden movement mechanics. You playing the kids, you're trying to catch Santa Claus.
Okay.
All right. Now, I want to know, how does Santa get tied up with a parent? So what is Santa's objective in this game? How does his character move around the board that either runs into contact with a parent or a kid? How is Santa going to be involved in this game?
So there's a number of games that have a hidden movement mechanic, kind of the most known, I think, maybe a game from your childhood. Scotland Yard is kind of the most known, where Mr. X is running around London. He wears a baseball cap, so he's writing down his movement. You can't see where his eyes are going. Everyone else is Scotland Yard trying to close in on him. That's kind of, there's also a game called Nuns on the Run that I really like of this nature, where some people are nuns, some people are Catholic schoolgirls. They're trying to catch him in the act. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing cooperative on the side of the children. They all are actual pieces on the board. Moving around the house. It's a big old house. Santa is not a piece on the board. Rather, someone who's playing Santa is having to like write down their own movement outside. I also like the idea of Santa having someone on his side. Maybe you expand to more players. You want him to have a sidekick. Some Saylor family Christmas lore that I think my brother made up when I was a kid, but he definitely scared me with it, was he told me if I didn't go to sleep on Christmas Eve night, Santa's elf who travels with him in his sleigh would come and bop me on the head with a magic stick that would put me to sleep. So that's also a character I would like to see helping Santa out in this game. Maybe he is running around the board helping Santa avoid the kids by bopping him on the head.
I'm pretty sure that's called a police issue baton, I think is what they call that. The stick that the elf.
A billy club.
Carries. Yeah, there we go. A blackjack. Well, that's very European of your brother, because that's all the European Christmas traditions is like Santa's nice, but he has a psychopath with him that will hurt you if you're bad. So,
I fully accepted it at face value, and years later, I'm like.
Or the baton is just.
I bet he didn't even remember saying it. I bet he told it to me one time, and it stuck with me for life.
Yep.
I think baton is just what he calls the NyQuil that he snuck into your drink right before bed.
I can just imagine a little elf dancing around. It's like 2.5 feet tall, no pants on, just with a NyQuil dropper, just dropping it into kids' mouths, like beep, 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 beep. Go to sleep, little boys and girls. Now, okay, I like the idea of like if Santa gets cornered in this house, he can pay off one of the kids with extra presents. You're like, you're not just getting a skateboard, you're getting a freaking boombox, Billy Joe. And then Billy Joe's like, woohoo! Okay, never mind. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna take the NyQuil and I will sleep here.
Yeah, this would be better set in like the 90s, like when we were like. I would like to see my childhood gifts featured in this. Yeah.
And it was okay to drug your kids. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
No questions asked.
The good old days.
Especially if you're Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did see you put an E on your list here on the clause. So if you are trying to, as again, you mentioned the 90s, if you're trying to up the marketing possibilities, would you have Tim Allen featured on the game on the art?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
Not a Tim Allen fan, no.
And that's because Santa Claus is a terrible movie, and it should never be in anyone's top 5 Christmas movies. Brian, I'm looking squarely at you.
Did I put it in top 5?
I'm pretty sure you did. Also, Maggie Jo, you need to come back
did.
for a Christmas episode as well.
I would absolutely, because I can talk forever about Santa Claus the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
it's a ridiculous. It's a fantastic movie. But what if it's Tim Allen, but his mugshot from the 70s in a Santa uniform holding a baton on the cover of this, chasing a bunch of scared children? I think that would sell. And I mean, I think at the end of the day, we got to sell games. So
yeah,
that's true.
Just
what we're here to do.
For your consideration. It has nothing to do with the Santa Claus movie, but it's just coked out Tim Allen. Mugshot.
I prefer that as like an Easter egg. Maybe it's a card you draw. Maybe it's hidden in the artwork somewhere. You know, a deep cut.
It's Santa holding up. If you are not good, this is what you will turn into. And it's Tim Allen's mugshot.
Or he's running around as a decoy Santa, stumbling drunkenly throughout the house.
I found Santa. Oh, I know. He smells like week old eggnog. Never mind. This is not the real Santa.
All right. Well, we started out with Christmas and Santa Claus. So, Mitch, you have your work cut out for you. What do you have for your number 5?
This is gonna be an easy lift for me in this one. I'm gonna blow Maggie Jo's out of the water, Brian, and I'm gonna remind you of your childhood all at the same time. So, my game here, it's a junior high dance navigation simulator, if you will. What I'm calling grind and boner. So this is a fast moving card game where each person builds a character in like a drawing round to start. So you're building a 13-year-old character. You know, your players take turns picking accessories, personality traits. So we're talking, jelly bracelets, polo shirts, cargo shorts, maybe new Adidas, that kind of thing. And then personality traits, bravery, shyness, maybe what's another personality trait in junior high? Dimples, right? That's a personality trait in junior high. So you're trying to make like the hottest new teen because they're all 13-year-olds. And so you're trying to get ready for this dance. So you want to be the number one teen that everyone wants to dance with or grind on or be ground by. So this is inspired by my dances I went to in junior high at my Catholic school. And they were always sweaty and nervous making, but fun and exhilarating. And sometimes, I felt good about myself. Other times I felt terrible about myself, but it was just this roller coaster of emotion you had to ride. And so throughout this game, you kind of I guess a better way to say it, but like a prize or like points to be won. So be like, ooh, here's, Johnny McDonald is he needs someone to dance with. Who's going to dance with him? And then you have to decide, ooh, Johnny's worth 5 points. Do I put my character in the ring here? If you lose the battle for Johnny McDonald, then maybe like you lose a power point or a personality point or whatever. One of your dimples disappears, something like that,
Oh no.
Yeah. And then of course, and then Sally McStrung, she shows up and she's like, hi, I'm really into Backstreet Boys. I'm looking for my first boyfriend or whatever, and then you have to put your hat in the ring. So like this whole just terrible mess of trying to hide your boner or, having to grind with people. It was all just a terrible thing we had to go through as 13-year-olds and probably like was maybe unhealthy too at the time. And I remember always saying to people like before, after I danced, like, sorry, Brian, you play that game when you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Hey,
you said obscure. You said obscure. Thank you.
But then I remember one time, when I'm dancing with Jenny Doherty to Backstreet Boys, Your Love Is Like a River. By the end, I was like, Yahtzee! So
I was not lame enough for Yahtzee. Come on.
Damn it. Okay. But yeah, so I think this would be a fun game, and I would hope to elicit the same emotions that oh my God, my brain is breaking right now. Well, what's the game from the 80s where it's like all the hunks and you find out traits about the hunks?
Oh yeah, like Dream Date or something.
Yeah, Dream Date. There we go.
Wasn't there an actual phone component?
It was called Dream Phone.
Oh yeah,
it was called Dream Phone. Looks and sounds like a real phone. It's what was on the cover. And yeah, dude, call the hunks.
Marketing genius.
Marketing geniuses. So like the dunce cap in this game would be like if you as I did once at a dance, if you pop a boner by accident, your character is penalized for that, and then no one will dance with you for like a couple rounds. So you're losing out on points.
You just have to sit as they skip your character at the table for a bunch of rounds. I like that. That's really fun.
So
that's a great mechanic of introducing real life humiliation into the grade school game. I'm a fan of that.
If I may add the female perspective to this idea, because I do really like it. I'm only hearing the 13-year-old boys. What about, hypothetically, the young women who left the dance floor crying because they thought their best friend was being too sexual and doing the crybaby move that became popular in 6th grade? Would we lose points for that? Because that's maybe something that may or may not have happened to me.
that could be rolled into the like retreat to the punch bowl move, where like maybe you're not losing as many points, like, but you're like maybe you gain 1 point per round and you're just hanging out at the punch bowl, or you're talking to the chaperone. Maybe that too is a thing. Like, you're trying to get back on the rails. But also at the end of the game, if you don't have to get a ride home with your parents, maybe you're like walking home, or your older brother, older sister picks you up. I think those could be bonus points too. So, but that's my number 5.
I really like the idea too of like things that could bring you back up, like escalate your points. Maybe there's event cards that flip that contain group dances. When Cotton Eye Joe comes on, everyone's confidence goes through the roof. Hey, Mickey, you're so fine. Everyone is going to feel like a king during that. So I think if we had some sort of, maybe even if we had an audio element, that's something that's kind of left the board game world that was kind of popular in the early aughts, I believe, in board games, is having like a soundtrack. I want to bring that back for this
I would
one.
love that. Like every 12 minutes, the electric slide plays, and it's like, ooh, time, easy points time. Everyone gets the bonus.
Show my moves.
We're going to go into our number 4s, but for the number 5s,
Mhm.
for reminding me of not only Christmas, the greatest time of the year, but using the phrase the early aughts, which is not used nearly enough, is Maggie Jo's getting 3 points for this round.
Woo!
And Mitch, I wanted to give you less, but the humiliation mechanic really put you over the edge. So I'm going to give you 3 points for that as well.
I know your sexual triggers, Brian. Come on, don't.
Oh boy, do you. All right, moving on to number 4. Maggie Jo, what do you have as your number 4 board game here?
All right, number 4. I love the idea of historical board games, but I really don't like war games. I don't like games that focus on like actual people who killed people or died, making it into a game. It creeps me out a little bit. I know it's a very popular thing in the genre. So I was trying to think of historical events that do interest me that I would like to see as a board game of. So Bone Wars is what came to mind. So Bone Wars being when archaeologists were like first finding dinosaur bones in like Wyoming, and 2 paleontologists got real intense competitive with each other, and were just like, there was a lot of like sabotage and like stealing each other's research. And like, I don't know, I'm not an expert on this event. It's more my idea of how things transpired is what I want to make the game of. But I really like the intrigue factor and the possibilities. I believe that it was a time when a lot of like fake dinosaurs were invented, because people were just like, no, I put these bones together and it is clearly this dinosaur. And then like decades later, it's like nope, those bones didn't even go together. That was fake. These are not real dinosaurs. I also have to confess that I did Google to see if this was already a game. And I think there has been a game made of Bone Wars, but it looks old and like we could do a better job. So I still am sticking to this. I think straight up a 2-player game, you're warring paleontologists. There's going to be a lot of like coercion, stealing, underhanded dealings under the table, straight up lying, deception. That's some elements
These are all trigger words. These are all trigger words for Mitch and I.
Yeah. A game I would never play with Mitch would be this game. My one-on-one deception with Mitch, I would absolutely crumble.
I become a terrible, terrible person when I play games against Maggie Jo, because I just try and be the most evil possible, and it's just,
just against Maggie Jo?
He is my kryptonite in deception games. He knows if I am lying 100% of the time, and yet he has the ability to 100% gain my trust unquestionably every time, despite how many times he has betrayed me in the past.
Preaching to the choir. It's just, we know.
It was built through years of doing improv scenes together, just looking into each other's eyes and trusting what the next person was going to say was going to be good,
And how to use it against them. All right. I like Bone Wars a lot, especially because I remember watching something similar about this, where I don't know how many times paleontologists thought they discovered a new dinosaur, only to realize it was just the younger version of that dinosaur. I found a small dinosaur. Like, look how small these lived. It's like, no, it just died when it was a year old. So it's the same dinosaur, you moron. But when I looked this up on Wikipedia, I love how they also called it the Great Dinosaur Rush, which is not a terrible alternate name to the board game. But the whitest, best facial-haired guys I've ever seen are the photo for this. Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope.
Wow.
Those are the Bone War paleontologists. And they look like men who would totally bury lies in the sand.
Yeah.
And in their facial hair.
Yes, we totally encourage the listener to go Google Bone Wars, because this picture is totally worth it. I'm a big fan of this game. I'm playing this game. I think there needs to be a sand element to the game. I don't know how we're shipping that.
I want a tactile, I want to dig. And I do have a board game called Fossilis where you get to operation style
very cool.
tweeze bones out of a thing. I do like that sort of tactile component as well. Would like to have that in. We actually have to arrange bones into a dinosaur.
I think this game ships in one of those plastic pools you used to have in your backyard. That's how big this container needs to come, just full of sand. But it's like a scale model of all of Wyoming. So the bones are actually like a centimeter long, but you get this whole 5-foot diameter tub sent to your house.
You only can play it one time.
Done. It's one done. But man, what a ride. All right. Moving on, number 4, Mitch, what do you have?
Yeah, my number 4, because you guys know I'm a man who loves food. I love the culinary arts. So I actually have two things about food on my list here, but this one is about drinking beverages. It's a mixologist game, which I call Bar du Cherie, and it's similar to
sold
similar to like
take my money
to Ticket to Ride, where you're slowly building a hand from drawing cards from like a market or the blind draw, and then when someone thinks they've made the perfect cocktail, they lay their hand down, giving everyone else one more turn before they have to also lay down. So this is a pretty quick game. But so you're utilizing, there's gin cards, of course, vodka cards, whiskey cards, bourbon, white wine, red wine, vermouth, aperitifs, old dirty mop water if you want. You know, you got mixers, club soda, Coke, you know, grapefruit juice, and then some of whatever. This is like the mascot of the game. And like the secret elixir is some of whatever is in Kathy's styrofoam cup below the register. And each player attempts to build the perfect libation. But after you lay down, there are 3 wild card drunkards abound, I'm calling it, bonus cards that are played in the center that affects everyone's cocktail. So maybe, you know, it outsizely powers up someone's version of a gin Ricky, or it penalizes the Bar du Cherie, who thought it was a good idea to add orange soda to an old fashioned, which if you do, I will find you, I will get you. But you don't know how the drink will sell until the final straw in Bar du Cherie. So.
Oh, no.
But so
God damn it.
but the way this game is played is it's not just one round. It's not like, oh great, I won that round. You are building out like a cocktail program, as they like to say, you know, like, oh, I run the beverage program, you know, people say that now. So you're trying to build out a menu, and then at the very end your menu has the overall points, and then you are named, you know, the best bar in the city. So or the best cocktail.
So it's like say it's like a version of poker where you're trying to get the best 5-card hand, but those ingredients make a drink. How many drinks do you think you have to make to be a winning mixologist at Bar du Cherie?
Bar du Cherie. I would say so. There's gonna be 5 rounds. You make 5 different cocktails, and then also another mechanic I thought of is each person selects, either by random or you can choose it, what type of bar you are, so you don't reveal it to the very end. So like whether you're a dive bar or a sports bar or a speakeasy or a jazz club or like a douchey nightclub, then like that also will be like you get +2 for every, you know, bourbon based you know, new douche libation you create or something like that, you know. But in general, it's like there's just a lot of things. And also what game is it that Maggie Jo, what game is it that on each card also provides information like that's like facts and details?
Oh, like Wingspan?
Yes,
like
yes.
The bird
Thank
game?
you. Yeah. So like Wingspan, on each card too would be like gin was created in, you know, Shropshire, England. So you learn about cocktails and you understand how to put them together. Because I think there are so many people that are like, I could never make an old fashioned at home, or I could never make this. And really, it just takes a little bit of reading and buying the right ingredients, and you know, you can do it at home. So it's an educational game too. And I don't know why we need to educate people more about alcohol, but you know, we are in this game. So
yes, we do.
Yeah.
You can
I like that. I really like the bar element you brought in, because I did have the pending question in my head of like, are certain spirits going to be worth more than others? Will this be subjective based on your preferences as the designer of this game? Like for me, yeah, whiskey, bourbon drinks would probably rank higher, but you know, vodka drinks, trash. But objectively, how would we work that out, you know, as designers, so that everyone feels welcome to our bar?
Exactly.
Bar du Cherie.
Bar du Cherie. And so, you know, maybe if you always love making whiskey drinks, you do the random assignment of the bar. So then like, oh, I'm like a big format nightclub. So like, you're not making, you know, beautiful bourbon cocktails every time. You're probably slinging a lot of vodka Red Bulls, that kind of thing. With, in this game, just a little bit of Kathy's Cup, in there as well. So, but
I'm going to introduce an audio element to this.
Yeah.
If anybody drops one of their cards, it's like dropping a glass.
Oh,
at the bar.
Love that.
So you have to, whoever gets to the button first in the middle to hit it, hits the Chumbawamba bonus. So it plays tub thumping, and all you just hear is cider, vodka, lager, just on repeat. Boom, 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 boom. That's that. So you get your,
oh my God, I love that. Oh my God, I love
that licensing bonus. And the other part you're missing here is the licensing opportunities to all the drink manufacturers.
That's true.
The actual Jack Daniels card, you could actually get the Aviation Gin card.
That's true.
Like, I think they would jump at this shit to bring down your costs. Scoring out this round.
Cash.
Of course, I'm giving Bone Wars 3 points because I can't do it anyways. And I am trying to make Mitch lose today. And he's fucking bringing it. It's really pissing me off. So you guys are both getting 3 points for this round because Ba du Cherie with the accent over the E is going to be a hit. Now, moving on to our number 3. Maggie Jo, what do you have for us?
Number 3. This is, I play the shit out of board games. I do not design board games. But since I've started playing board games, there's been one board game floating around my mind that I'm like, I really should design this. It's got a built-in fandom. This is the only kind of IP, like there's already a brand associated. I don't know how I would get the rights, but like if I could, I would design a board game of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh,
I think it is ripe for mechanics. There's a few angles you could take on it. Something that some fans do, a friend of mine made me a copy, is Guess Ru, which is a parody of Guess Who with all RuPaul's Drag Race queens. That's a really fun, get the game night going if you got RuPaul's Drag Race fans around. But aside from that, I want a full on, you get to be a queen competing. It's been going so long. There's such a built-in fan base. And there's also now standard formats for what challenges you're going to see, what runways you're going to see. And I just think you could put that in a box and let everyone have their own at-home RuPaul's Drag Race experience. Lucrative, done. Marketing writes itself.
Okay, what is the design of the board? How does the board look?
So you'd have a section for the workroom and you'd have a section for the runway. So it would have to take place over phases where I would say, so you're each going to be a queen. I think you would all have to name yourselves too. That's a fun part. Is coming up with a drag name. Maybe there could be an optional name generator associated where you draw a first name and last name for the people who are nervous about choosing their own. 100%. But I think you should be able to choose your own. Yeah, I always like to have options where it's if you want to be creative and improvise, go for it. But also you could roll these dice and have it tell you what to do. I like that in games to make people comfortable. And so, a challenge would be given per round. You'd have to prepare for that by gathering the right materials, probably through cards, probably through some random dice rolling in the workroom. And then after this is fun. I'm coming up with this on the spot. There could be a push your luck element, right? Maybe the person who takes the longest to get ready gets penalized, but the longer you take, maybe you could get more, really refine your makeup, really get the good materials, all that good stuff. So the longer you take, maybe the bigger penalty you have, but ultimately your score is going to be what you put down the runway in phase 2. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it will all balance out. But I kind of like that of do I spend more time here or do I just be the first out on the runway, maybe looking a little trashy, but I've got the best talent. I don't know. When you already have a fan base like that game, recently a Stardew Valley board game was released.
Really?
And it's that did not need to be made, right? But it sold out immediately the day because there's so many fans. It's I don't care what it is. I love this. I'm a fan of this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to buy it. Mm-hmm. I just think that would happen with RuPaul's Drag Race. It's even non-gamers would be yep, no, I love this. I'm buying it.
I think you'd just be curious. Wait, how is this a game? I want to see how this can be a game for sure.
Exactly.
We've been talking about audio elements a lot as well. Cause I know a tough thing to do in a board game would be to do the lip sync thing, right? You could probably do it with cards or whatever, but it wouldn't be nearly as much fun. So if you actually had songs, maybe it was also got updated every now and again, maybe with the current season soundtrack, that kind of thing. And people got to actually do some lip syncing too in front of their friends. That could be.
If it's an early aughts game, it would come with a DVD-ROM.
That's true.
That you would be able to put.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you could send away
A choose your own adventure VHS.
And then like, do you want that? Do you want this DVD number 2? Send us a letter to PO Box 64059 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, whatever. And you'll get one in
It's
8 to 12
free.
weeks.
Just play $45 in shipping and handling.
Oh, that beautiful scam. Oh my gosh. Maggie Jo, it is free to be on the podcast, but there is a $55 connection fee for our internet that we do for the so just so you're aware. Yep. Understood. Cool.
That's what I signed.
Yeah.
I signed.
Mitch, you're number 3. How are you going to beat RuPaul's Drag Race?
Yeah. My number 3 is also actually another built-in IP, huge market waiting to be tapped here. And it will have an uphill battle because it would have to compete against video games for the same thing. But this is something I love, though. It's building a basketball team and leading them to a championship in the go-go 80s. NBA. This is NBA, a.k.a. Superstar Hoops. I always love back in the 90s and early aughts, the games always be like fantasy, big times, all the stars, hoops, like those kind of games. One version of this, and again, like you can play in the NBA video games now, you can do like career mode where literally you're like, all right, I've got to go to practice now. And they go to practice and you're like, that's so boring. Just like, I want to play the games and that's it. But they also have story modes behind it too. And I think it was like NBA 2K17 or something is famous for a point in the story. It's like mid-season. And it's like when you start to like hit a shooting slump. And then like a friend from back home comes into the locker room and it's this very somber scene where he's like, hey, Derek, I just want to tell you, your best friends from home, Goo, he got killed by a drug dealer last night. And you're like, what? And your character like cries. And it's like this thing that's like, they try so hard to like give you a full life in this basketball video game where it's just like, it teeters, I think, a little over the line. But so this is kind of what this game is trying to build on. Is in the 80s, the NBA was growing rapidly. It was becoming popular. Of course, it was the decade dominated by Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. And then, of course, Michael Jordan came in the mid 80s. And so like the league was just exploding. There's one version of this game where all the players in this game are real NBA stars. And I love stars. And the other deck is a fun made up roster version. So it's like, Chunk McGinley, and he's like, I'm a stout guy, or there's like Slim Flashman, and like he's clearly like a sleek, fast guard, or like Tree Johnson, and he's a very tall guy. Actually, I think that's the name of a real guy. So there's phase 1 is training camp. That's where you're developing. This is where you're doing, you're adding on skills and what I'm calling legendary moves. At the fastest rate. So maybe you have like the world famous.
You stole that from my RuPaul's Drag Race board game.
Oh, did I? Whoops. So like there's like the super spin, which is like always gets you to the basket, or there's like the sky hook, or like the deep 3, Then you go into phase 2 where it's the early season phase where your team starts to gel. And this is where you start picking up additional like multiplier cards, it could be like, hey, the veteran took a rookie out for a nice lobster dinner, and now the veteran trusts the rookie. So boom, like that rookie gets a little better, like that kind of thing. This is where the fun really starts. This is called the holiday party.
Oh, the fun's finally going to start.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was waiting for the fun to start.
I know. This is the holiday party season. So this is where the off the court stuff comes into play. So you got your drugs, you got your endorsement deals, you got your shady business managers with guarantees of import business riches. You got your social life. Yes. You have your we got to fly across the country, and the veteran just lost $15,000 in the plane playing cards to the rookie. Phase 4 is the trade deadline. This is where you can trade with other teams in the game, or do like this is a cross your fingers. Maybe this player really isn't working out. He's not gelling with the other guys in your roster. You can put him back into the pile and do a blind draw from the aged superstar pile. This is a common thing in the NBA where guys who are almost done with their career, they get bought out and then they jump onto a championship team. Maggie Jo, I know you're like, oh my God, please, I don't care about this basketball thing.
I am counting 5 games so far.
I know.
Mitch.
Yeah. I know. There's a lot. I know. But then phase 5 is the playoffs. So based on your record, based on what cards you've drawn and how well your team is powered up and the multipliers, that's when it goes into the best of 7 series, and then one champion is crowned. And I know that's like this doesn't sound like fun to anyone else but me. I cannot wait to play this game. I can't wait to keep the stats. I can't wait to have like an Excel sheet with all my players and their shooting percentages and their, assists and their VORP and their PER ratings and all that kind of yeah. Whew, that's my number 3.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I'm curious of the niche that would play this one because, what is the crossover between people who are fans of a fast sport and who would set up a board game on a banquet table at a convention that would take 3 days to complete? Because that's
yeah.
I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure those people exist.
I think that
are there as many of them as drag queen fans?
No, I mean, no, I think you're very right in that the everyday NBA fan would be like, I can't wait. I have to put my phone down for more than 30 seconds. I don't think I can do that. But I think actually now that you say that, because it is true, this game would take forever, but borrowing elements somehow from Risk Legacy where you play it and then that affects the next game and the next game, that kind of thing, I think would be really fun. This would be probably a great game for like if, I'd play with my friends who are probably 30 and up, maybe 45 and up, some older guys getting in there.
Just, the peak board game market. Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing that on a box? Like, 30 plus? 45 plus?
And then in parentheses, it's not complicated. It's just boring. Well, and also it's all 80s NBA players. So this is like very, very nostalgic stuff that's going on here. And also it'd be another way to educate younger fans on the NBA of the past. So
I think you're too old to play your own game, or you're too young to play your own game, which is really problematic. This game is dumb. I hate it. This is easy for me. RuPaul's Drag Race is getting 3. You're getting 1 just for the bottom of the barrel scratching
Jesus
the honey.
Christ.
God, this is so unfun. I can't describe anything that would make me more sad to watch than 4 40-year-olds playing this game and getting upset about it.
Wow.
Moving on to Maggie Jo, your number 2. Please bring us back to the comedy and the fun.
Number 2. This is just straight up a good game theme. I'm not going to lie. I want to see a game about Niagara Falls, daredevils, and stunts.
Okay.
Again, I was doing a little research before this. I was like, surely there's a Niagara Falls game out there. And there's a pretty like popular one, I realized. But it's not focused on like the daredevils and stunts. It's like you're just rowing through. So I want to see something where you have to create the next big stunt and see how you succeed in it. This is something that I was just fascinated by as a kid. It's like, those things that you just like, it's like when everyone says like you always think as a kid that you're going to fall into quicksand someday, like based on what we see. That's like a thing you think is good. That's how I feel about that. I'm like, I am going to like know someone who's going to go over the falls in a barrel. Like when my family went to Niagara Falls in like 99, I was like, this is important. This is relevant. This is special. I need to learn the history of everyone who's gone over the falls. Haven't thought about it in probably 20 years. But when this prompt came up, I was like, this is what needs to be a board game. And I was like, looking into some history. And like the first person recorded to it was a woman in 1901. And the website that I was looking at was like, she survived, really thought it would bring fame and fortune. She later died in poverty. I was like, oh no. So I think this would be a game where like setting expectations would be part of it. Like, what are you trying to achieve with this stunt? Is this a going all in for glory, maybe for death? Or is it more of a, like maybe a tightrope walk, something that's not a guaranteed like flounder? I don't know. But I really love this theme. I could see the artwork. I think there's a lot of good like material to pull from there. When I was reading the different stories of people who did this, how often it's like, and then the maid of the mist picked up the person, or the maid of the mist picked up the inner tube. Like,
because who else is going to be down there?
Yeah, exactly.
That is maid of the mist territory.
Maybe that's the game.
Have most of the people survived?
Rescuing the stunts.
Have most of the people? They have?
A lot of,
Okay.
I'd say most. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. A few have died, but many have lived. Yeah. There was a guy in 1995 who went over on a jet ski. He did die, but because his parachute didn't deploy. But when I saw that, I was like, that is insane. A jet ski?
That's a great tagline for the game, too. A few have died, many have lived.
And like, there was a guy who I was reading about who went over just himself. No protection. And it was like, but his friend who was filming it was drunk, so it's not recorded. And I was like, okay, what? So, and he went, I think this was like in the 80s. And then he tried to do it again in like 2003, and he did die the second time.
Oh my God.
But he completely survived going over the falls, just swimming his own body.
I'll prove me right again.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's bananas. Mitch, you got your work cut out for you. What you got for number 2?
There's a workman above that's just hammering on the radiators above. So if you do hear that, I apologize, listener. Okay, here we go. My number 2. It's a game all about giant family holiday get-togethers, aka All Is Fair in Love and Turkey, which is an incredible title, and everyone should be laughing really hard. So you start with a full. Oh, thank you. You start with a full sanity and love for your family gauges, and they are tested as you deal with the pitfalls of a giant family get-together. This is inspired by my own upbringing, my dad having 11 siblings, my mom having 4, and having to do 2 family get-togethers in one day. One of them with about 30 people, maybe at its max, with boyfriends, girlfriends, and young cousins. And then on the other side, it'd be like maybe max would have been like 130 people in one house for a family get together. So, and of course, this is also, you're playing as someone who moved away. As I was the city kid, most of my relatives still lived in rural areas. So similar to the game of life, you're on this path throughout the giant family get together party, and you're going into like different quadrants of the board. You come back to the center to travel to other ones, but instead of riding in a car, you ride on a giant paper plate and a crushed beer can or soda can. That's kind of what it is, because that's kind of what the experience is like. So you're talking with cousins about, is it personal lives, or maybe you just like keep to an easy spot of like celebs, or maybe they've just gone to college and they're finding their own way and they really want to talk about religion, or you don't talk to them at all. So like there's pluses and minuses to all these. And then also this is the big thing I always had to do. Do you choose to avoid relaying the same anecdotes about your life and pay a penalty? So you go in like the quiet area of the board, you're keeping to yourself. Maybe you watch the game that's on and don't talk to your aunts and uncles, or you choose the path of leaning into the family and you field all the questions about the dangerous post-apocalyptic wasteland that is Chicago that you live in, and how are you not dead yet, and like, how do you choose to keep living there, and so you keep answering those questions. You keep telling the same stories about, your friends, or perhaps a fun college class you just completed, blowing people's minds again that you are continuing to survive in Chicago. But of course, at any big get together, you always need to think about fueling up. You need to eat during this get together at some point. So choosing the right foods from the buffet table is very necessary, and it's a tough thing to do. So you have to time also when you eat. It's very important. You go too soon, then you're going to have your aunts or uncles who made the food standing there uncovering it. And then you have to have a conversation about, how they made the hot dog salad or whatever. And you don't care. You just don't care. But you go too late, and then all the edible food is gone, and then you're stuck eating cheesecake salad with like warm crudité and like a diet Pepsi. Then that's your whole meal. So going into all 4 quadrants,
it's a very Midwest game.
It is. Yes, you caught on very quick. That's exactly the point here. And then the most important phase, though, is talking to your grandparents. So what do you talk to grandma and grandpa about? How long do you sit with them? Because choosing your tactic determines the level of gift you receive, if it happens to be a Christmas game. Because before the game starts, you draw a card to see, is it Thanksgiving? Is it Christmas? Is it Easter? Is it 4th of July?
Fun. That's a good mechanic.
Is it a cousin's graduation party from high school? Is it a wedding? Because I went to, so many goddamn weddings growing up, like just tons of weddings. Which also is like that's an easier, simpler game because people are drinking. So that's just kind of, that's the Yeah, it helps.
It helps.
But so choosing your tactic of how you talk to your grandparents determines the length of the hug and the kiss on the cheek you get, or the level of gift. So that is all is fair in love and turkey. And the winner.
Such minutia. You've really thought about
exactly,
the details
right?
on this
and so
one.
the person who has the highest sanity and love for their family left at the end of the game wins. And then also a fun little bonus entrance to the end of the game, which is always what my family did. In the car ride home, you'd always recap stuff and be like, did you hear what Aunt Jan said about Native Americans? And you're like, oh my God, yeah, Jesus Christ. Like that kind of thing. Or like, did you hear like Austin got his girlfriend pregnant? And like, yeah, and he's only 16 or whatever, So so there's like some recap you can do to like earn bonus points or bring you down again. So I don't, the game mechanics obviously aren't there. It's just basically me recounting what it was like to go to a family get together. I get that, but I think it could be a fun game.
I think there needs to be a lot of forks in the road on the path towards the grandparents, and then consequences for choosing one or each of those paths. And for you, especially your character, your little piece that's designed after Mitch that goes on the board. If you choose to either soapbox and tell the same story to a lot of people all at once, just so everyone's on the same page, or if you choose just to tell one person, if you choose to tell everyone, it's like, cool, everyone got the information, but then you need to be punished calorically, which means that you get sent back to the buffet and you can only eat cookie and Snickers salad. And then you have to survive the rest of the day on a sugar rush to try and get to the grandparents to actually have a conversation while still being awake. That's your punishment.
I would like an element too, not to add more into the mix, but flipping a card and saying, is this your relative or is this a friend someone brought? Like that's a big thing at my huge family gatherings every year at Thanksgiving, because we have like 90 to 120 people. And it's like, is that my cousin or is it someone I don't know? Like that is the game to me of like, we like wear name tags now because I don't know my second cousins by appearance. So I would really like that element. I also, you mentioned this, but I think it would be an excellent driver in this as well, is having a significant other with you as something that like can give you pluses and minuses too, because that's such a like introducing them to these people, or like using them as a shield against people you don't know. I really like that element of like bringing your other into this.
That is excellent, because I also too, I can't remember most of my cousins' names, but because I'm like one of the odd ones that left, so everyone knows who I am, it's like. And then I was like, oh, Mitchell, wow, you guys finally came. Like, I haven't seen you in a year.
The showbiz kid.
And then I'm like, hi, hey, Criley. Oh, Criley, sorry. I forgot about this too, but the idea of taking a nap on a couch, like during a football game, also is an important part of the family get together.
That's how you recharge your health in the board game.
So that's my number 2. Thank you very much. That's it for me. Appreciate it.
Good job. All right. I'm going to score this out. Definitely giving 3 points to Niagara Falls, because I want to see, does the game come with water? Does it come with does it come with a jet ski? I don't know what it comes with, but I can't wait to see it when I open the box. And Mitchell, I'm going to give you 2 points for this, because you didn't work out all the mechanics and I want to see more of it. And I'm going to challenge you. And this is the second game you're going to make after Bardoucherie. So 2 points to Mitch. We're on to our number ones. Maggie Jo, what is your best scenario you would like to see turned into a board game?
All right. This was a absolute no-brainer for me. I'm going to be honest. I love the show, and whatever list you gave me, I was going to find a way to work this in. It is my favorite topic, thing, event, TV show. It is just my favorite thing to talk about, and I think the world needs to know, if you are not familiar with The Curse of Oak Island. So,
gasp.
I, of course, am referring to the title of the History Channel show about Oak Island. This show has been running now for almost 10 seasons. They're in their 9th season. Wow. I bet they're going to have a 10th. Me and my husband have been watching for years. This is it's a History Channel show. These brothers are digging for treasure on this island off of Nova Scotia called Oak Island, where people have been digging for treasure for over 200 years. It's a thing. It's a big thing. Has anyone found treasure? No. I think people dug up treasure there in like the 1800s, took it, and it's gone. I don't know why people are still looking for it, but I am here for it. They just do not give up. And there's just so much passion. And the people digging now are very wealthy. It's like their resources are endless. So it's almost just like, yeah, bring more big trucks onto the island. Let's see what more we can dig. Let's go for it. Bring the metal detectors over. They really get wacky with theories. So I think mechanically there is just a plethora of things we could go with, right? So there's a lot of treasure hunting games out there. And I think a very like simple form of a game set in Oak Island would be trying to locate the money pit. So that's like the spot where it was reported some brothers found indications of treasure back in the 1700s. Some teenagers stumbled upon this, and that's where the lore like began. So now the mission has always been, let's find this money pit, and that's where we'll find the treasure. But the location has been lost in history. So many people have come and like excavated and dug, and stuff's collapsed, and like they know the approximate area of like an acre, but they don't know where this like 3x3 foot money pit exists. So they're just like drilling boreholes everywhere. So I think that would be a fun game. It's just like locating it. Like they named their boreholes too, which I think would be really fun. I obviously like naming conventions in games. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, a sequel game. I think this is going to be multiple games in this universe because it's so rich. I would like a game built around, this is what they call themselves, the Fellowship of the Dig. That is what all these old men who are looking for treasure call themselves, and they meet in this trailer on Oak Island called the War Room, and they'll discuss what they've found, what their next plans are. It is, I can't speak highly enough of this world, this history, and how much it would do for the board game community.
Now, this seems to be a trend with me today. You seem to be saying like, I think the game's going to be simple. And then I come in with, how do I make it more complicated? So have you ever seen like a life-size Jenga? Like not like Jenga for the table, but when you get the big blocks, like at a bar. So it's like 4 feet tall. What if your game is the top of this is the surface, but it's a bunch of plastic pieces and there's hidden pockets, and whoever is the game designer can put different things. So the money pit can change each time you play the game. So there's a stack of cash you put in a little door, and your character has to go down the board and finding different things in different levels, and whoever finds the money pit wins. But
kind of a Kerplunk situation.
Kerplunk, and you get to change where it goes. That is a bonus point. Congratulations. Now,
yeah, I was fishing.
Yeah. Well, Go Fish was also on the list. All right. Dig us out of this hole, Mitch. Take the curse away. What is your number one board game?
My number one, this is a game of commerce. This is a game of capitalism. This is a game of fun California style, baby. This one is an 80s mall food court wars game, aka Rad Eats. This is inspired by Fast Times at Ridgemont High. In that movie, all the teenagers they hang out at the mall, they work at the mall. So this game, I'm imagining mechanics similar to Power Grid. So you start with one food court stand, and you know you need to name it something. So everyone gets to name their stand a fun name. I'm going to name mine right now off the top of my head. Roasteroni. I think that's a fun one right there. So
you know I love a naming element in games.
Exactly.
So I'm already on board.
I'm getting MJ on board here. So in this game, you are a food court proprietor, so who's desperate. You want to attract the hottest teens from the area, but you also need hungry families because you want it to be cool for the teens to hang out, but families drive the economy. So you want families to come in, spend money, feed their kids. So you have to decide, do you want to sell hot dogs? Do you want to sell pizza? Do you want to sell chicken wings, tacos, burgers? Fries are always in style, okay? Salads, kind of, you know. But these are reactive markets too. So like to buy your chicken, beef, pork, mystery meats, whatever it is, the more people that are making pizza, the more expensive it's going to be. The more people making chicken wings, the more expensive it's going to be. And then also, hot dogs are always going to be cheaper. You know, that there are some Cadillac items, perhaps you unlock as you grow to 4 or 5 stands, you unlock a brand new item. Maybe you're making pizza bagels now, and so like that's something only you sell, and you have to combine, like a hot dog bun with meat, and boom, you have a new item, that kind of thing. So you are trying to dominate the Southern California mall market. Your empire hopefully is expanding, and of course there's seasons to this game, because of course there's different seasons to the mall as well. The summer, all the talent is available, so you can hire teens, you can hire college dropouts, you can hire whatever. But then when school starts, you have to make sure you're not reliant on teens, who of course are a little bit cheaper, too. You have to make sure you have some other workforce available for when the school season starts again. Then of course you have your Christmas specials. Again, you guys both love Christmas. I knew you both would like that. The game finally ends when you have whatever number it might be. It might be 7 food court stands. It might be 10, but this is how you dominate. Yeah. The food scene in Southern California. Maybe your X factor is you put everything on a stick, maybe that's your gimmick. But whatever it is, nice. At the end, you cash out all of your resources that you have. Perhaps you've won the title of like the captain of the football team and the Quiz Bowl champion. It comes to my hot dog stand every single Thursday and Saturday, and you have that little trophy on your mantle as well. Or maybe the local movie star, maybe they stop by and grab their chicken wings on a Wednesday afternoon. You have these little power-ups, these multipliers. You could put that feather in your cap at the end. But I do like everything is very 80s. Again, I have 2 80s games on here as well, 2 food games, 2 80s games. Spicoli, those kind of characters. I just love Spicoli. I love that spirit. But then also I love Mark from Fast Times as well. He just works hard. He wants to run the movie theater. He wants to take the tickets, and he wants to earn his money and be an honest, a good person. So you're going to have these characters all over the game. And Rad Eats, man, that's going to be a good time. And we're also going to provide markers, so you can color in your food stand as well. So you can create little art as well. And like you can even have what I like, how like, food court, you have like a sign, a long rectangular sign. Maybe you have one of those, so you slide it in, welcome to Roasteroni. What you having today,
Wealthy whites, hot teens, sloppy meats. Welcome to Rad Eats.
We gotta pivot from the tagline of attracting hot teens.
Yeah.
Sorry, popular.
You really hit that hard.
Popular teens. You want because hot teens attract more teens. And you want.
Oh God!
People
stop saying teens, Mitch.
Sorry. So I think this would be a really fun game. And also, I would encourage, if you're going to play this at a party, wear your 80s, garb, wear your short shorts, wear your slip-on Keds, skateboard to the party, that kind of thing. So
skateboarding to the party. That's not something I thought I was going to hear today. All right. We're going to bring this home. For the Curse of Oak Island, obviously you're getting 3 points, which is going to round out your perfect score for today. But Mitch, I'm also giving you 3 points because you said 80s and food court, and I'm going to say yes to that. But we have the extra points to dole out. Mitch, I know it's not an obscure game, but you did say sorry. I do play sorry. So that's going to take your 12 and bump it up to 13 points for today's game. But Maggie Jo had a perfect score of 15, plus she said kerplunk. 16 points for Maggie Jo to your 13, which makes her the winner today. And nobody said don't wake daddy, splat, crocodile dentist, or don't break the ice, which were the games.
I will say what I crossed off of it was in my final 10 when I was narrowing it down for this. I did cross off my friend's suggestion of don't woke daddy.
Yes.
You were trying to get your father's approval amongst a sea of social justice warriors. So that's my honorable mention.
There's an extra 10 points automatically. That is just 26 points today. Don't woke daddy. Sounds fantastic. All right. She is our winner today, but we cannot leave without revealing my Fast Five, which of course was businesses we no longer need when we reach a post-COVID world. Number 5, kissing booths. You know, paying for kisses has always been the Midwest's way of legalizing prostitution, but the short window of opportunity, mainly at state fairs, and the blatant misogyny means these lips for hire disease swaps can probably go. 4. Chuck E. Cheese. Now, you would think the most horrific thing this rat-infested child casino committed was searing a memory of a ride-in rocket ship that reeks of feet into my childhood memory, but no. It was pivoting to ghost kitchens called Pasquale's Pizza on Grubhub and selling their shitty pizza to us during a time we were scared to go outside. Number 3. Birthday candle factories. We don't need your help encouraging Uncle Billity to show little Evan how it's done and blowing as hard as you can on the cake. Plus, you've encouraged entrepreneurs to waste our time on Shark Tank with the Blow Z, a real product that is a $12 plastic kazoo fan that keeps the germs away. Let's cut the problem off at its source, the candles. Number 2, children's museums. I am all for education, but the hands-on motto and close-quartered crawling tunnels with no ventilation can probably go. I crawled through a larger-than-life human heart at the Robert Crown Health Center when I was 6, and I still don't know jack shit about the heart, so I say good riddance. Number 1. Las Vegas oxygen bars. Forget the fact that you're sharing breathing apparatus with other disgusting tourists. These are just fucking stupid and make us look bad as a species. Be gone with you. I'll get my oxygen out here where it's polluted and free. That's this week's edition of Uber Cinco. Joining us from North Center that has a river and, of course, Lane Tech has been
Maggie Jo, Saylor.
And from the quaint district of Sopoco, as always, has been
the expected loser, Mitch Brinkman. There we go.
Yes. And as always, I've been your big wet boy, Brian Ernst. And as Bizbear always says, you're never too old for chicken tendies and fries. Auf Wiedersehen and adios. You've just listened to Uber Cinco, a production of UBK Studios. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your fine podcasts from.
If you like what you hear and want to support the show, please visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/UBKstudios. Every little bit helps us keep the lights on and the bill collectors at bay.
Keep tabs on us on all the social media at UBK Studios, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see that we really are just a bunch of good Midwestern boys.